So we're super excited to be able to kind of connect our organizing and our community organizing to the legislative session, and really be a strong advocate for policies that we know are going to impact our lives. So if folks haven't checked us out, you can go to our website, allyship.org, and learn a little bit more about us. But I thought I would just do a quick introduction. And I think that, Taylor, you're going to take us to the next thing on our agenda.
Yeah. So first of all, I don't think we shared our agenda. So I just wanted to let you all know that there is an agenda.
Do you want me to do that?
Please.
Okay.
And I do want to say we are recording today. So we will be recording. It's not live right now. So if you do not want, for some reason, to share, just keep your screen on off. And if you let me know, then I can make sure that the information that you provide, if we do end up posting this, that you will not be part of that. But I am wanting to give fair warning that we are sharing. Do you need?
Someone's asking where I need. Can you give me sharing?
Yes.
Privileges, and then someone asked to where we want to post it. Where we plan.
If we do end up posting it, it would be on our Facebook or our website. And we probably will break it down.
Okay, I still can't share.
I know, I'm trying to find, it's not giving me that right away. Oh, I know how to do it. I'm sorry. My co-host. Yes. All right. So for the agenda tonight, I'm going to go through that. We have a pretty full agenda, and we're going to do intros in a moment. And what we're going to ask is that you share your name, pronoun, and a question. We have some group agreements so that we all are doing our best to do this work. We're going to do it overall on what's at stake. And then we are going to also go over the legislative agenda, things that we specifically are working on too, that we're part of. And then at the end, we'll ask you to fill out the financial assistance link for the application for that, and a thank you. So we'll start off right now with I would love, because I want this to be interactive, and I definitely want you to feel that you have some say in things. I would love to hear your name, pronoun, a question of what you would like to get out of the Advocacy 101 workshop, and so that we can hopefully address that. So if anybody wants to go first, otherwise I'm going to just call on people. Maybe I'll just call on somebody. And then the next after you get called on, you say your thing, then you call on someone. So Jack, you want to go first because you're right underneath me.
My name is Jack Orion Barker. I use he, him pronouns. I've been a part of LGBTQ allyship for several years. And I'm just here to learn. I would like to learn more about this topic so that I could be of some use to myself and others. And I will call on Ursula.
Thank you, Jack.
Hi, I'm Ursula. I use she, her. I am brand new to allyship. And so anything that you say tonight, I will probably learn from. I'm looking forward to that. And I can only see Janella, so that's who I'll call on.
And you're on mute. And if you don't want to share, please just put something in the chat too. You can put it in the chat there.
Yeah, for folks that might not know how to put their pronouns, there's in your corner, there's the little 3 dots. If you press on that and then you press rename, you can actually then you have your name, but then you can also add your pronouns there too, which is a great way to just introduce yourself if you're not wanting to speak. Because I know we probably have like 3 more minutes for this part. So even like what would be super helpful too, so that we can really tailor this to you all, is if you have things that you specifically want to learn, that would be really helpful, even if you put it in the chat.
Please do put it in the chat. I am taking notes on those. If you don't want to state what it is.
So sorry, Janella, go ahead. And it looks like you're having, you're trying to unmute yourself, but it keeps, there you are. Oh, it keeps going back and forth. Please, folks, if you would like to share with us like something you would like to learn, either shout it out or please put it in the chat.
Anybody can go. We have a couple more minutes.
You all are a quiet bunch so far.
Hi, everyone. My name's Claire. My pronouns are she, her. And I love that this is called 101 because I'm here to learn the basics from you guys. So thank you.
Thank you, Claire. Yeah, this is a totally new legislative session because it's all online. So we are absolutely all learning together.
Somebody else wrote, I would love to know the legislation to back up and support Black trans people especially. So thank you for that. Great.
Oh, and Dylan is saying I'm unable to mute. I wonder if we've accidentally made people muted, Taylor. Just that might have been something that happened.
They can unmute themselves though. I have that
Oh,
set
okay.
up.
Okay. Okay, great. Darius is, what is Seattle doing to hold police accountable for violence during summer? Yeah, so people are interested in the criminal justice part. Great.
All right.
Thank you. So let's, Taylor, if you want to go over group agreements,
Yes.
just to kind of get us started and grounded.
And if people, since some people seem to be having problems unmuting, at least you can put something in the chat box. So that'll be helpful. So group agreements, I have, one of the things that is always good to know is there's some people that we do the step up and step down or step back. Those that are more talkative, try to show some restraint, let others have the floor once in a while. And those that are quieter, go ahead and contribute because your voice does matter. And we want to hear what you're asking, what your thoughts are too. And then if we all can agree with that, and then talk your own lived experience. We all have really rich lives and we know our life better than others. So definitely talk your own experience. And then confidentiality. This is about confidentiality. If you don't want to share something, nobody's going to ask you to share that. And if you don't want something posted, I will make sure that it does not get posted. So there is that confidentiality. and please participate. We can't learn unless we all participate. So the more questions, the better off we all are. So if we all can agree to that, put a thumbs up. And if there's anything that's missing, feel free to put it in the chat. Awesome. See a lot of people agreeing. Great. We have more than half people. All right. So moving on, we will do the overall and let Debbie talk.
So I'm not sure. I wanted to kind of just kind of start off with saying the good news is that this legislative session, for the first time in a while, we have a Democratic governor, Democratic House, and a Democratic Senate. And so we're in COVID, in a pandemic. This is the time where we really need to hold Democrats accountable and make sure that they're really working for us. And so there's opportunity for that as long as we keep pressuring them. One of the things that we are really fighting for in this legislative session, which absolutely has the biggest impact for BIPOC communities, is making sure that there is a progressive revenue source and stream and system that happens and starts to really change within this legislative session. One of the things that we're really concerned about is that during COVID, we know that there's less resources. If everything is status quo, stayed status quo, there's less resources for help around COVID of community needs, from food security to housing, jobs, financial aid, healthcare, vaccines, etc. And we know that there's a possibility that this legislative session, our elected leaders will be more conservative. We want them to, and we want to push them to think big and to think what it means in the short run as well as in the long run around progressive revenue, which really means it's asking people to pay their fair share. So it's asking the wealthiest, and it's asking corporations to pay their fair share. And that's actually, Washington State is one of the most regressive states in the country. We're 48th, which is not something to be proud of, even though there's a lot of wealth here. We need to change this. And so that's something that's on our legislative agenda, and I'll talk a little bit more about it. But that's kind of a bigger, kind of a bigger scale kind of overall. But what I wanted to go over next, and feel free, I'm going to be just keeping tabs on what people are saying. So if you have comments, oh, makes no sense. Yeah, right. Like, you know, to be honest, I don't know if y'all know, but when I'm talking about regressive tax, it means that those of us who are the most cash poor pay the largest percentage of tax, which is completely unfair. And so, so again, it's about fairness, and that equitable and equity, meaning if you earn more money, if your corporation has a bigger profit, you're paying more taxes. That's how it should be. That's what a progressive tax system is. And so that's what we need to really hold our decision makers accountable to. With that being said, I wanted to just go over our priorities, allyship's priorities, and I'm sharing the screen here. Actually, Taylor, can I ask you to share this screen?
Yes.
So that I can make sure I can look at my notes. I'm going to stop sharing for a second. If you could bring that legislative agenda up, and just to go over this real quick with you, well, not real quick, but to do some, to go over some highlights with you all. There we go. So one of the things that allyship has been working on is housing. And right now, there are some really important tenant protections bills that are being decided right now. One of the bills is in the House. It's called House Bill 1236, and that's just cause protections. And this is something that for those of us who live in Seattle, we do have those protections now. But on a statewide scale, we don't. So what that literally means is that landlords can evict anyone for any reason. If they don't like you, if they want to discriminate against you, there is no law to stop them. What we know, and particularly right now in COVID, is that Black women specifically are the most vulnerable around this and are experiencing the most evictions, even though we're in COVID and there actually shouldn't be evictions. So we need to ensure that there's policies and protections that are protecting justly tenants. And what it means with the just cause is it's just common sense. It means that you're literally spelling out reasons why a landlord could evict someone. So for example, if you're going to sell your property, you'll need to, but it doesn't mean you can evict them right away. It means that it means you have to give your tenants the proper amount of time, which is, I think at the minimum, it's 20 days, which is not enough. So we're trying to advocate for more, but that's like a just reason, or that if you're remodeling, or if you are, if you're really late in your pay, although that doesn't apply right now. I just see somebody was evicted in Olympia last year and had to move up to Seattle. I'm so sorry to hear that. I hope you landed well. But yeah, in Olympia, you didn't have the protection. And this bill, the Just Cause bill, would allow for that attention and that protection now. What we're also doing is we are supporting overall an increase to for rental assistance, particularly for folks that are impacted by COVID. Again, BIPOC, LGBTQ folks are the most vulnerable. We know that. So we want to make sure that rental assistance is equitably going to communities who are most impacted. What we know is that that Washington State got $500 million from the federal government. We're asking the governor and the state to match that. Right now, the governor has come out in support of $300 million. So there's still to dedicate $300 million to rental assistance. Here's the shocking news: is that for all taking it into consideration all of the tenants that are behind in their rent, we know that $100 million, in other words, that Washington State tenants are behind enough where it would take $100 million a month to help our folks, our tenants, to make whole again for their rent. So rental, in other words, rental assistance is not the only matter and cannot be the only solution. There has to be a combination of both rental assistance and tenant protections that are for now, but are also for long term. So that's why allyship, we're really trying to be there and talk about how LGBTQ folks are uniquely impacted around housing, and making sure that we have a voice in advocacy around that. And so I just wanted to stop right there. I'm going to just read some comments. I'm 2 months late on rent, and my landlord comes to my apartment at least twice a week asking for rent. Is that legal for him to do that? It is okay to do that. But what we can do to help you is, if you're not able to pay your rent, one of the things is he cannot evict you, but what we want to do is support you and others in creating a payment plan with your landlord that is agreeable to both you and to your landlord. And that is something that in Seattle, at least, and this is where Taylor comes in. Let me know if I'm saying something out of line here. In Seattle, you are protected, and it is a requirement in Seattle, is it not, Taylor?
Yes, it is. It's going to be, you can start making those arrangements now for payment plans. And there's a lot of questions that can be asked around that. And you can show in good faith that you're working towards that plan. You don't have to have a solid plan right now. The plan does not have to be fully in effect until after the moratorium ends. So if you're able to pay anything, it's encouraged to do that, so that if you're a month behind late and you are able to pay like even $100 to that month, it's encouraged to do that. But you do not, they cannot put fees on it, or they cannot pressure you, but they can ask, like, when do you think you can get it? And just talk to them about, like, hey, I'm not going to be able to get it. I'm out of work right now, or the unemployment hasn't shown up yet. But just let them know that you are working on it, and that you can ask them to start a dialogue around a payment plan for those 2 months or whatever you are late on, and any future type plan. And we're going to go over that another time during one of our housing renters' rights trainings in March.
The only thing I would add is you would want to get that in writing too.
Always in writing.
Yeah. But what they can't do is, if they're harassing you, there's something different if they're harassing and saying you have to pay versus checking in on you about payment. I just want to make that distinction too. I'm not sure what your landlord is doing, Nikki, but I just wanted to make that distinction. And what I will say around this is, although these are the bills that we're working on, we are also, allyship is coming out in support of some really important COVID protections for tenants that actually will, there's one bill that we're specifically supporting that would be statewide, that would make it a requirement for landlords to create an agreeable to both parties payment plan. Unfortunately, that's not statewide. It's really just in a few cities like Seattle where tenants have protections, but in the rest of the state, unfortunately, you don't. And when the moratorium ends, if we don't get the protections now, it's not going to be good for folks. So Taylor, if you want to just scroll down a little bit, unless folks have questions, I'm happy to pause just for a minute around, and we can always come back also to housing too. With that being said.
Yeah, and I don't know if you saw that I wrote a message to y'all that I was able to unmute you, so you can unmute yourself whenever you want to speak.
So the other thing that I just wanted to, under our economic justice work, we are supporting the expansion of the Washington Paid Family Leave Act, and that's House Bill 1073. And what this is about is, and we do worker rights trainings, but not everybody knows their rights. If you are working, every single Washington worker now has access to family medical leave, parental family medical leave. And that means that you can take leave if you get sick from COVID, for example, or if a family member does. If you need to take some time off for gender affirming surgery, or if a family member is sick, or if you have an elder aunt or cousin who you need to talk, your family member, if you need to take care of, there's lots of reasons why people take family medical leave. You have a right to this now, and you will get paid during that time. what we're doing right now for this bill is we're trying to expand access to this bill, especially during COVID, where it's lowering the threshold for workers to have access to it, so that it's if you've worked somewhere for 90 days, or if you've earned $1,000, either way, that's the threshold for you to then have access to paid family leave. We're also trying to expand the definition of family, and we're also trying to ensure that even if you work for a small employer, that your health care will still be paid during the time that you need to take off from your employer. And I just want to, Amani says, I've been married with my partner for 15 years, but not married. Yes, you do qualify. That is your family member, that's your partner. So the answer is yes to that. And that the great news is that we've been partnering with a great organization called Economic Opportunity Institute, who's really taking the lead on that. And they've really worked with us to really ensure that the expansion of family was at the very beginning of that piece of legislation. And now we want to expand it even more specifically for us as a community. So if you want to scroll down around that. And Taylor, I don't know, I only see you. Is there a way to highlight the person who's speaking too? Or is that already happening? I don't know.
Highlight the person that you just need to open up your screen some. Sorry.
Okay. So we're also working, like I said, on progressive, increasing and improving a progressive tax system within Washington State. Particularly, we're working on what's called Washington Families Tax Credit, I think, tax rebate. And what that means is that it's for folks who are earning $23,800 or less. You would get a rebate, and the rebate would be $500. And this is particularly important because it's, like I already said, it's folks who are earning the least, actually percentage-wise pay the most. So it's giving back that money so that you can put it back into your pocket. And we feel like this is an equitable approach, and that this is the right direction for Washington State to be taking to really honor folks who shouldn't be paying the most as far as taxes. And what's exciting about this that I think is really important is that if you are somebody who already is able to qualify for the earned tax income credit, which is on the federal level, you will automatically benefit from this. But if you are somebody who doesn't qualify for that, so you might be somebody who is an undocumented person, you might work in the underground economy in some way, even for domestic violence survivors, there's another way. It's called individual taxpayer identification number. Maybe people are familiar with that. You can still qualify for this rebate. And I think that that's really important to expand the group of folks who would benefit from this. And it says 100 tax. What does that mean? Annie or Ann? Let me know. Yeah, tax the rich. That's what really this is about. So this is something that actually a wonderful organization called Statewide Poverty Action is working on, and we're really supporting this work and definitely looking for folks who are interested and want to talk about what you could do with an extra $500 and how that would make a difference in your life. So if you want to scroll up again. Now we're getting into criminal justice. I want to just, first of all, I want to acknowledge that there is some amazing work happening at the statewide level, multiple bills. And this is because of the Black Lives Matter protests. It's because of Black, queer, trans, leaders to really organize together, come together, create the bills, write the bills, and ensure that there are really solid paths to police accountability and really systems change within the police state. And so we know that for LGBTQ folks, we know that LGBTQ youth, BIPOC, trans, and non-binary folks, we know that immigrants, we know that trans and non-binary people in general are dealing with the police disproportionately in a negative way, and that this is absolutely an LGBTQ plus issue. One of the things, there's a couple bills that we are supporting, but there's more than that available, and we're trying to just keep an eye on these different bills and come out in support of police accountability bills that are being introduced in this legislative session. So one of the bills is House Bill 1054, and it's prohibiting unnecessary political tactics. And you can see that it really defines what those are. The other bill is House Bill 1082, and it's the creation of a criminal justice training commission. Both of these are asking for accountability. They're common sense. They're leading to more community oversight. And yeah, how do you support these? So we're going to talk about that in a minute, and we're gonna show you how you can do that. But they're just really common sense there, and they're asking for more community oversight. Folks that are, who are directly impacted by the negative actions of bad police should be part of that, should be part of the reform, should be part of the criminal justice solution. So that's really what these systems change bills are trying to get at. And it's exciting. It's really exciting work. And it's exciting to see the leadership that's happening around this. The last part of our agenda is a section on employment. Unemployment benefits to undocumented individuals. This is particularly important because right now undocumented individuals, even though folks are working, they're paid into uninsurance, the uninsurance system, they receive no benefits from it. And that's unfair. So we want all of our community to be supported, especially during COVID right now and at all times. And we think that this is a fair solution to open up unemployment benefits to undocumented workers. This bill, like I said, it says here, it doesn't have a bill number yet, but we're hoping to have that. And we want to keep our folks informed about how we can champion and support this bill and its passage. The last bill that we are supporting is the Worker Rights Act, which is House Bill 1076. And this bill is an important bill because it actually strengthens workers' rights, the rights we already have. It actually doesn't change or increase rights, but it gives more accountability. It gives more power and accountability to workers if their rights have been violated. It could be violated around if they've been discriminated at work. It could be around worker safety. It could be around gender pay equity at work. It could be around wage theft, or if you have, if the minimum wage is changing actually this year. Again, it's rising again. If you're not getting that, if your employer isn't providing that, and they should know by now and they haven't done it, any type of violation to you as a worker, it's giving more power to workers by allowing workers to work with other organizations around the investigation and ensure that that if there are times, and one of the things that has happened that has been disappointing is that workers might file a complaint, but state agencies don't always have enough resources to investigate. This actually ensures that other agencies, other organizations can help with that investigation and continue the process to receive justice. So it's just giving more tools to workers with laws and protections they already have. What is it raising to? Ask me again about that. What does that mean? What is that question?
Ask you.
What is it raising to? Oh, the minimum wage. You're
The
talking
wage.
about,
So
Taylor.
it's $16.39 within Seattle right now. $16.39. I'm sorry.
That's for large employers, right?
Yes. And then outside of Seattle, it is the same. Let me get back to you on that because there's two different numbers, and it depends on the size of the company. And if they allow tips and pay for health insurance, it changes the minimum wage just a little bit, and I will grab that for you.
Important to know. Yeah. So thank God someone says. So Edie, I want to just stop here. We have criminal justice, we have unemployment benefits, Worker Protection Act, housing, family paid leave. Are there questions? No question. Every question is smart. Every question is needed. No questions are stupid. Please feel free to ask whatever. This is our time now. So your landlord can still evict you, but they just have to say why? No. During this time, during the moratorium, your landlord cannot evict you. But after the moratorium, it's different outside of Seattle and a few other cities. How do we support these bills? Is there action we can take? Yeah. That's the next section. Any particular questions around any of the issues that we talked about? And we can just continue with that too. So, let's see. Here we go. So, there are several ways that folks can be active and advocate at the state level. This, like I had mentioned before, this is the first year, everything is on Zoom. So in some ways it's more accessible to us because we can literally share our story or write something pretty easily. And we can do it in our own home. So this is the exciting part. There's 3 ways that everyone can make a difference and advocate for a bill that they care about. One is to personally testify. And what's happening right now is that because there's so many people testifying, at least at the bills that I've been testifying at, folks get a minute to share their story. So it's got to be succinct, but it's powerful. The more folks that are sharing their stories, the more power and the more powerful we can be. The second way that we can make a difference is we can write our own story, and we can, there's ways just to share your own story through written form. The third way, if you don't have a lot of time, if you want to just say you're pro, you're for this, you can literally sign up your name and just click pro or con, because there's some bills that maybe you know that are actually not great, and just let your voice be known. And you don't have to share the why or anything. So there's really some easy ways to do that. And I just I'm looking at, good. So Taylor is just talking about the minimum wage. Perfect. So what I wanted to do is share with you a link that So there's a really important bill that's coming up that allyship has already come out to support, even though it's not on our agenda, but it is a tenant protection. And I am going to put this, I'm going to see if I can do this as I'm going to get us to the Washington legislative page here for a bill. Okay, it didn't work. I will make this happen. Okay. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. And I'll give you all the link, but this is the Washington legislative. This is where you can get all bill information and check things out. This bill particularly is HB 1300. I'm going to talk about what this means, but first I want to just get a sense from folks, how many people have checked out the Washington State legislative page just to check out what bills are around? Would you raise your hand or do our little like thumbs up? Has anybody done that before? There's one person that I see.
There's a couple.
Okay, a couple, cool. The cool thing is that, and we'll share this link, it's super easy, but I thought I would take you through this. So this is a bill that's actually coming up tomorrow. All of you can do this if you have time at 1:30 tomorrow. And this is a really important tenant protection. We've come across this where landlords have, after somebody has moved out, they've made claims that there's damages that have been made, and you know that it hasn't happened, but the landlord actually doesn't have to give proof, and they actually are not required to even give an itemized bill of like, you know, what they're charging you extra for. And so this bill gives tenants protections that puts it in confinement that, first of all, landlords have to itemize. It ensures that tenants get a walkthrough with their landlord. So there's that fairness that you're both there together, making sure that you're both seeing if there's any damage, you're agreeing upon it. It's protecting tenants from bad landlords that take the system for granted. So I'm just gonna look at the chat again. Does anybody know, oh, is this page available in Spanish? That is a great idea. What we're gonna do, we're gonna find that out for you. Everybody's gonna get a follow-up email, and we're gonna give you a bunch of resources that you'll get after this. So I can translate. Oh, thank you so much. But we want to make sure, I have a feeling there it is in Spanish, and we'll get you that resource. But this is what you can do right now. But first, before I move forward, has anybody known anyone that has had that experience where a landlord has charged you money for damages that you didn't even know, or that you don't feel like you actually did? Has that ever happened, or have you ever heard? Yeah, we've encountered LGBTQ folks that we've worked with that's happened. So we know that this is happening, and we want to support more protections for tenants. So what you can do is you get to this page, and I'm going to show you how to do that, but you simply just say pro. Now this is going to be all me, but you would type in your name, all your information. This is a little trick that I have found, is that it doesn't like ones, and you have to go like this. Okay. And then I'm not a robot. And then you click submit. Now I just said I'm pro, I'm a supporter now. And you can say I'm done. I can go back. This was a House bill. If I want to testify, go back to the House. Now, here, because, and this is where we're going to help. We want to help. We want to create an active community. If we know a bill's coming up that we believe and we know that you want to be there to support, we're going to give you this link. We're going to email it to you to this page, to this, so that you know what to do. For this, I know that we have to know the committee, and we'll tell you that information. This is coming from the Housing, Human Services, and Veterans Committee. And then the only time is tomorrow. So I would just select this. Now, I happen to know that I do want to support this. So this is the HB 1300. This is the landlord's damage claims, this is protections. I get to choose. Do I want to submit written? Do I want to sign up for the hearing? Or do I want to just note my pro status? I'm pro. Just for, well, let's just do testimony. So if I want to, and I've actually I haven't signed up, but so I'm not going to fully do this, but I would do pro. This is if I want to testify. For me, I would just, it's already signed in. So I just do this. Make sure, oh, this is written. Okay. You get the gist. It's the same. Just make sure my phone number is right. And then you can literally just write your testimony right there. And what we actually recommend is that if you decide to testify and also do written if you have the time. And what I've done is I've written out my testimony, and then I've changed it a little bit and then just put that in the written. So this makes sure that legislators hear and also see your words. And you can, for what I've done, you could put in more information here because you have 5,000 characters, and you'll have more time to explain or tell your story in the written than in a minute with testimony. Both are powerful, both are important. I'm just gonna now back up and say, if there's any questions about this so far. Landlord withheld deposit for damages prior to when I moved in. Yeah, that's withheld deposit for damages. Yeah, that is, unfortunately, you have no protection around this right now. That's why this bill is so important. Yep, a couple years ago that I used to, yeah. Any questions around this?
And I'll state that, the first time you do it, it seems really difficult because I recently did this for my first time. And after the second and third time, piece of cake.
The one thing that we're good, oh, we have a few people in the chat. Okay. Next time, make sure they write everything down during the walk-in. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Hope this info
take
is in the
photos.
follow-up email. Yeah. This will be in the follow-up email. So let me just share with you. I just wanted to kind of go a live process on how to do this, but I have a document that actually we're borrowing from, and I want to give full credit to Latino Community Fund around why it's important to share your voice, and then tips on what the kind of good tips on what a testimony looks like. And then also information around how to look up bills and so forth. So we'll provide all of that in the follow-up email. And what we're also going to do is we're going to provide a link for folks that want to be on our list where we can update you. Hey, there's a bill, there's a tenants' right bill, there's an economic justice bill, there's a criminal justice bill coming up. Will you say pro? Will you testify? Will you share your experience? We're going to ask you to do just a quick application, basically just to share your story a little bit and what you're interested in, so that we know who we should be emailing at what time, so you all can really stay active. Will you be listing all of this on your website? That would, okay. We hadn't thought of that. Thank you for that suggestion. We'll see what we can do. Any other questions? And I know we have 5 minutes, so Yeah, we can spread links around. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It sounds like we should do something on our website. We do have our legislative agenda, so maybe we can, thank you for that suggestion, just to make it easier for everybody. Yeah, okay, great. More suggestions on the website. So Taylor, I'm gonna stop sharing. And if you wanna take it away.
So like Debbie said, there are a couple other ways that you can participate. We do have a renters' rights committee that we have just formulated, and you are welcome to, I'm gonna put it in the chat, if you want to apply for becoming one of the renter right committee members, you can go to this form and register there. And it is an application. It'll ask a few questions. And this is specifically just to our Renters' Rights Committee. And then we also have it actually tells you in the form. So within the Renters' Rights Committee, Renters' Rights Committee advises and supports and participates actively in advancing the local housing policies. Our goals are to form an advisory committee that guides the LGBTQ housing to better the lives of LGBTQ plus people, and to advocate around housing policies that impact low-income, BIPOC, trans, non-gender, non-conforming, gender non-conforming, and elders and youth and women and then LGBTQ members in Seattle. And we also recruit a diverse community committee of LGBTQ plus individuals that represent multiple perspectives in the LGBTQ community. Said it wasn't found? Okay, I'll try that again. Because that should, and if that's the case, I will find, I can pull that up. But so that is for that committee, and I'm perplexed now that did not work.
We'll put it in the we'll put it in the follow-up email too.
Yeah.
Folks.
And then we also have a workers' rights committee, and it's very similar. Instead of focusing on housing, we're focusing on advising around worker rights campaigns and LGBTQ plus community, working with community, government, and business partners to win worker policy change. So I will add that link also in the email that we send out. And then lastly, we will also include in the email around advocacy and the link for that. So both of these are really great committees. We've just started the housing committee, and we haven't started the workers' rights committee, but we are reaching out to get people to do that part.
So these are both committees that really help us focus on what kind of issues we want to concentrate on at the statewide level as well as locally. So we really listen, and we are working alongside communities so that we're community influenced and led around our advocacy. So it's really some exciting opportunities for folks if you're interested in advocacy, or if you're interested in starting that process. Curious about it.
And then lastly, this form, and I really do hope this form works. This is for the financial assistance application. So this is the one that for the $150, and you'll want to fill that out before the end of, good, that one worked for you, thank you. Yeah, it worked for me. I tested it too. You'll want to take, it shouldn't take you more than 3 minutes to fill that out. You'll want to do that before we send out any information, and I will get back to you tomorrow if you qualify. And if you don't qualify, I'll let you know that too tomorrow, and we'll be sending those out.
So with that being said, that is the end, and we actually we ended on time. Great job, Taylor. Yay.
And there's a lot of information on that.
Yeah, we went through a lot. If we would just like to kind of close it. Thank you for participating with us. We are excited to work alongside you to really advocate for these important policies and make our voices heard. And if any, I'm so appreciating folks in the chat saying, you know, if people would be open to say one word, like, how are you feeling after this? We would love that to just be our closure, to get a sense of, you know, hopefully this was beneficial, or if there was something missing, we also want to know that too. So please just let us know a word, and we would so appreciate it. I love it. Determined, informed. This is pretty cool. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.